After the break, we have news of a new far-right political party. Do we need another political party? Let's find out in a moment. Welcome back. Marie on the text says, I blame politicians for all the unrest over direct provision. It's not right that a disproportionate number of young migrant males are foisted on small rural towns without prior consultation with communities. To put 150 migrants into a small town is disproportionate. A judge on Prime Time said the community should be consulted and an appropriate number of migrants should be in or around 2%. Charlie Flanagan wants to pass hate speech legislation to stop people voicing concerns. That's Marie. And you know, Marie, I think a lot of people would agree with you that most communities are happy to engage in the whole migrant project and process, provided there's consultation, there's checks done on the background of these people, and there are enough amenities available for the locals as well as for the migrants if they suddenly are landed in a small town, the size of Ballinamore or similar towns in the west of Ireland. Thank you, Marie, for your text. 087 900 4141 is our number. This one is from Josephine. She says, as we move towards Christmas again, have we totally lost our Christian beliefs of room in the inn and welcome that historically was a trademark of the Irish people? No more, it seems. All these towns are not suitable, ? Such a lame excuse, despite Irish people living in these communities. It's a disgrace and a disguise for racism. Very sad development in our Irish people. That's another text coming in here. Well, I suppose one of the biggest burning political questions in my lifetime has been, before we all leave this planet, those of us who are alive, will we ever see a 32-county Ireland, a united Ireland, in other words? Well, one far-right national party, which actually was set up all of 3 years ago, is campaigning for, obviously, a 32-county Ireland. And it's a political party that hasn't been getting very much media focus since it was originally launched 3 years ago. I'm joined on the line by the leader of the National Party, and that is Justin Barrett. Justin, good morning.
Good morning, Tommy.
How are you?
I'm not too bad after the bank holiday weekend. How are you, yourself?
Grand.
Okay.
Coping, let's put it that way.
Yeah, the Tuesday morning after bank holiday weekend's always rough.
So, the National Party, how's it been going?
Well, it's not moved to the far right yet, Tommy, for a start. But what I would say is it's since the launch of the party in November 2016, we have grown very rapidly, despite maybe because in some ways of the subdued media attention, I guess. That's the way I'll phrase it. Subdued media attention. But we are growing rapidly, and we have a strong organisation pretty much throughout the 32 counties now. And we are more than ready, for example, to fight the general election.
And are you a full-time leader of this party?
Well, yes. I devote my entire time to the party at this point. But if the next question is are we getting Russian money or are we being supported by the Trump administration, the answer is no.
So who is funding you?
Members' donations and member subscriptions are the only funding that we have.
And how many members have you?
Well, I mean, this is one of the great political questions, isn't it? Like on paper, we would have about 2,500 members, but we prefer to judge the party in terms of its activist membership, and that is the people who will actually go out and like leaflet for us, put up posters, etc., etc. So I would put them that membership at about 1,000 nationwide.
Okay, because I never heard of your party until last week.
Right. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate, and I think it is one of the problems that we have, is that there is a considerably more support for the party out there in the country, but what we believe in, what we are saying, then is perhaps reflected even in those membership numbers, and maybe even in the results of the next general election, precisely because when people see our names on the ballot paper come the next election, there will be a lot of people like yourself, hopefully a lot less people like yourself, who will go National Party. Never heard of that. Well, that's our problem to solve, and the media in general aren't helping us to solve it. So that's our problem to solve through social media, through on-the-ground campaigning, through leafleting and so forth, to first and foremost get the very existence of the party into the public mind.
And that is part of the problem, Justin, isn't it? I mean, I recall, Anua, when they started off, they had this fanfare of media people around them. There was great plans for that political party. Now, they are registering just about in the surveys of how political parties are doing generally in the MRBI polls and the other polls. But it's very hard to get a profile for a new political party unless you have a really high profile name.
Yeah, it is extremely hard. Renewa, I think part of Renewa's problem was actually, oddly enough, the reverse of that. They got too much media attention, too much political fanfare at the beginning. They went into the first general election with 6 members of the Oireachtas. They overplayed perhaps what their election results were going to be the first time out, and then they kind of fell flat after that as a consequence. When we don't overpromise, for example, I've talked about already running candidates in the general election. We're not overpromising what those results will be, but to build a political party from the ground up without any sitting members of the Oireachtas and without any sitting elected representatives is a very long, hard task. One of the things, for example, being that, like, how exactly do you raise money when nobody knows who you are? And then, of course, how do you get people to vote for you? Again, unless people know who you are. And that's before you get to the hurdle, which is the obvious hurdle that every political party has, which is, do people actually support what you're saying? So it's difficult, but we're getting there. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to, for almost from the get-go, that we were not going to contest any elections certainly prior to 2019. We did give some brief consideration to the European elections, I merely as a profile builder, but that we wouldn't run any candidates now till the general election.
Okay.
And that was because we knew ourselves. You have to create the organisation first, and you have to create the awareness of the existence of the party, and that's very difficult to do. But it's also very difficult to do, of course, if you don't take part in the election process. So it's a trade-off. We're going into our first election. We're not over-promising our members. We're not over-promising people who do support us what our results will be in that election. But at the same time, it's an opportunity for us when people are politically engaged, shall we say, in a way that they possibly aren't
Okay. Can I ask you a question? What is different between your party, this national party, and Sinn Féin?
The difference between the differences between
you want a united Ireland, don't you?
Well, it would be the difference between milk and water. And what kind of a united Ireland? That's the question. Is it going to be a united Ireland in which there is a place for the people of the entire 32 counties of Ireland, including those of the unionist tradition? And what I mean by that is, whether we like it or not, and it's 400 odd years ago now since it happened, there was a plantation of Ulster. There was a significant population planted there, loyal to the British Crown, with the express purpose of suppressing, like, Irish nationalist dissent, shall we say, in its most troublesome county up until that point. And So while we want a 32-county republic, and Sinn Féin say they want a 32-county republic, one of the first differences, I would say, is we're actually willing to sit down and talk realistically with the people of Northern Ireland or the six-county area as to what kind of a united Ireland that would be, rather than simply imposing some vision from on high. Second of all, let's be honest, the history of Sinn Féin means that, and particularly the provisional IRA campaign within the six counties, makes it very difficult for them to be on the other side of the table from unionist opinion, and be trusted to be playing fair, as it were, because there's two things going on there. It's unionist opinion. Number one, it wants to maintain the union. Okay, right? That's an obvious problem. But number two is when people with a history like the history of Sinn Féin approach that community with the idea of a united Ireland, that community recoils and remembers the often very vicious sectarian attacks that were launched on that community by that political party, and so don't necessarily trust what they say or trust that the deal that will be signed up
Justin,
will be what will be delivered.
I'm almost out of time, but I want to ask you one more question, and it's more like this is just an overview, and it's a personal overview. I don't believe that any person living in Ireland from the age of 25 to 45 or even maybe 50 give a fig whether we ever have a united Ireland or not.
Well, okay, I'll have to counter that simply by my own experience, but let's set that aside for a moment and say that, look, the striving for a 32-county Ireland is only one of the many policies.
I understand that. Yeah, and I take that point.
And there's the differences again with Sinn Féin.
Yeah, but you're avoiding the question.
We're opposed to mass immigration.
Justin, you're avoiding the question.
Are in favour of
Justin, you're avoiding the question. But do you agree with me?
I don't think so. I don't think you're correct there. Certainly, you know yourself you're not correct when you say nobody does. Whether they are a majority or not, I think opinion polls show that that a majority would like a united Ireland. The question then comes down to, well, what kind of a united Ireland? And then there seems to be a kind of a fading away as far as the practicalities of what that would
Okay. All right, listen, I'm sorry to cut this shorter than I expected, but I do have one other piece that I have to do before 10. Just to suffice to say that if there are any people out there who want to know more about this political party, it's called the National Party. Your website?
The website is thenationalparty.ie.
Thenationalparty.ie.
Yeah.
And people can form their own opinions, find out exactly what the 9 principles of this party is, and I suppose they can register and become members online if they want.
Absolutely, yeah. And as I stress, there's more to us than a 32-county republic, but we do definitely support that.
Okay. And Mark puts me in my place. He says, just because you don't give a damn, read your history, lad. Mark, sorry, that's not the point I was making at all. The point I'm making is that the younger generation in particular, from what I see and talk to them about things political, they're not interested in politics anyway, for a start. They're too busy on their mobile devices. But they, as I say, they don't care. As long as they have a nice life and a life where there's freedom and you can go out and do the things you want to do, I say they don't give a fig whether we have a 32-county Ireland or a 26-county Ireland. That's the point I was making, Mark. Anyway, other than that, Justin, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Tommy.
We will wait with bated breath to see who you have in your ranks come the next general election, which isn't far away by all accounts.
Yeah, we're assuming that, God knows this is a hell of a presumption that the Taoiseach, Cleo Varadkar, would ever keep his word on anything. But he has said May 2020.
Yeah, well, watch this space.
And on that basis, we're planning for May 2020, which is a leap of faith for anybody to believe anything that Leo says.
Okay. On that note, thank you very much for joining us. Justin Barrett, the leader of the National Party. Have a look at their website.